Welcome back to the Check Swing Podcast, starring Coach Santa over there. Y'all see him. See him. And
Everybody's
my
starting.
co I just kind of push the buttons, but he's the star of the show. He's the genius behind the operations. And he's the man behind the myth and the legend. What's going on, Coach?
Hey, sir, how art thou?
Oh, you're muted.
No, I'm not.
Actually, yeah, you're muted. Can you say something?
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Yeah, I don't hear you. You're having a little bit of difficulties over there. I don't know what might have just happened, but we'll rifle through that and we'll figure that out. But Check Swing Podcast, we talk a little bit of sports. It's a baseball show, two baseball guys talking that baseball talk that we talk, but also we're coming through and making sure y'all have a good time. We talk about all the sports going on. Of course, the NBA playoffs are going on right now. The NFL draft was last week. Baseball is in full swing, and a whole bunch of things going on there. So we got a lot to talk about today. Um, Coach, you got me?
Hello?
I don't think he got me. All
Hello.
right, we'll figure it
Hello.
out. Let me hit a couple buttons over here on my end. See if I can work
Hello.
it out.
Hello.
Um, but with all that being said, the show, of
Hello.
course, must go on, and we have. Well, I'm not going to. I can't go on with the show until we make sure you are
Hello.
good to go. But I can talk and fill some time until we figure it all out.
Hello.
Um,
Hello.
But if you don't know, the Check Swing podcast was actually developed by
Hello.
Coach Santa over there. We used to
Hello.
coach together at in different level high school baseball. Um,
I can't hear
he
you.
where I coach high school baseball now, and he was coaching with me, and then at a facility known as MSI Maple Zone Sports Institute. Um, we coached together there as well. So it's a wealth of knowledge of the game of baseball, a wealth of knowledge of sports, a lot of going back and forth between the two of us because we have that rapport. We've known each other for I don't know how many years, but we've known each other for a while now. So um, while he gets himself together, talk a little bit about what we got going on as coaches right now. As far as me, of course, I am a high school baseball coach, and I am in the middle of a season. Um, Tough season, first season in 2 years, so it's been a tough season. And we have um, a game tomorrow, maybe two games tomorrow. We have a suspended game that we're still trying to finish against one of our rivals, but you know we have this time. We have a chance to get into the playoffs, so that's what we've been focusing on. And
Mic
Miguel
check.
is back. Miguel, can you hear me?
Mic check.
I hear you. I mean, you hear me, but I can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened. Is
Mic
it my fault?
check.
Let me see. Let me see. Let me make sure I didn't do anything here.
I can mic
Yeah,
check.
we were cool. Everything was good until I went live. Everything was good.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Let's see. Give me
Mic
give me a 10
check.
count.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
You don't
1.
have the mute button. You didn't
Nope.
have the mute button pressed, do you? You all good there?
Nope.
I don't know what's going on, Miguel. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. We have any. This is what you call live
One check.
broadcast, y'all. Live broadcast. This is what happens in live broadcast. Sometimes you run into problems right there off the rip. But either way, we're gonna be here to talk. We got one thing we're gonna talk about today is
One check.
Dusty Baker um, reached his 2000th win yesterday as a manager. Awesome job for him. Hall of Fame coach. And listen, his accolades. I always wanted Dusty Baker
One, two.
um to coach to manage the Phillies. I've always wanted to manage the Phillies. He hasn't done so. Probably never will, honestly. But I always wanted him to be the coach of the Phillies. He says his meter is bouncing and everything like that. So
One,
I'm
two, 1, 2.
we were good.
1, 2.
We were good. I got everything. I didn't
One,
touch
two.
me.
Check. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, and I got nothing. I got nothing. This is the strangest check swing podcast we've ever had.
1, 2.
Doesn't matter how loud you say it, I still can't hear you. So yeah, while Miguel strangles his microphone over there, I am also at the same time watching the the Sixers just kind of stink it up down in Miami right now. It's killing me. Oh my goodness, what was that? Tyrese Maxey. Oh my goodness. It's bad over there. It's really bad over there with the Sixers, as Miguel still tries to figure out what he's got going on. But watching the Sixers down at this moment, as I'm seeing it, down 76-61 in third quarter, about 5 minutes 30 seconds left in the third quarter, and they really just can't get into a rhythm. Miami is really doing their thing. They're looking like a number one seed against the Sixers right now. As who was that? Paul Reed. Paul Reed gets a hoop in the arm. Shout out to Paul Reed getting his on the job training going here as he goes up against Bam Adebayo, an all-star in his own right. And got the hoop in the arm, the up and under move. They put Bam on the bench, might be in foul trouble, but of course I got the sound down. I'm not allowed to basically not allowed to broadcast the game on here because I don't have those licenses. Not there yet. In due time, though. Let me take a sip of the juice. So it feels good. So as I'm watching this Sixers game, waiting for us to figure out what's going on Miguel's end of things. We had hold on, let me just double check on my settings, make sure nothing on my settings was messing up. But we have excuse me. It looks like I might have some settings on mine that's a little weird too. Could be on my end. Hopefully Miguel comes back and I'll tell him it's on my end. I don't understand why, but it looks like it might be. Either way, the show must still go on. Let's change some things up here. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Turn my sound down. I think that might have been Miguel texting me right now. Let's see what we got. Yeah, can I send them the call-in number? So that's what I'll do. I'll send them the call-in number. I have to actually open up the phone lines a little bit earlier today, but it's all good. That's what we do. That's what we do. Live broadcast, y'all. This is just how it goes. Live broadcast as I get Miguel popping over here. Calling number 669-275-0323. 669-275-0323 is the number to call. Miguel will be calling in very shortly.
Please wait.
Thank you for calling Neutral. There we go. Y'all heard that? I know Miguel is on his way. But until he gets here, of course, we'll be talking a little bit about what's going on in the Sixers game. As the Sixers are down 68-81, 81-68, I should say, with about 3:40 left in the third quarter. Just really can't find rhythm against Miami right now. Nobody really can. Eric Spoelstra is really out here doing this thing. As we got Miguel. Miguel, you there?
Mic check 1 2.
No, we're still not hearing him. And I'm wondering if it's, you know what? I thought it was on my end, and it could be on my end, but everything was good before we started the show, so I don't know. Here's what I'll do. We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna be right back. We're gonna check on these sound settings, and we want y'all to hang with us. Please hang with us. Appreciate you. Oh, wrong one. There we go.
Hello. Hello. I know. Yeah, I guess we can do that as a backup. Just do. I'll call in. See if we can do it that way. The only issue is I won't be. I'd have to mute. I don't know how that works.
I was seeing all the stuff that you were putting in for like the videos and stuff, but I think it's definitely on my end.
Okay. You want to restart your computer and we can come back, or?
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right. All right, so I'll come out too. Just let me know when you're back up.
No, stay in the studio. Stay in there.
Okay.
I'll start. Everything was cool.
I know. That was crazy.
That music sucks. I think it's different music.
What did you say?
That music sucks. I think it's different music.
Yeah, I wasn't judging.
But I couldn't even hear the music on my end. So definitely something on mine.
Gotcha. This music makes you want to go on like an impromptu walk in a trail.
StreamYard is tripping. Now StreamYard is getting fun.
Okay. Hello?
I hear you, but now I can't see.
What? I'm looking right at you. I can see myself too.
Oh,
Hello? Now I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you.
Oh, how about now?
Now, there we go.
Yeah, I probably should have had my mic turned up. So,
And
since
we're back.
we're back, but you're not.
What do you mean I'm not? I can. Let me see if I can join the broadcast on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, let me see what it looks like on YouTube real quick. Because yeah, we're here we go. Let me see. All right. So it might just be on my end. I think I'm having all types of issues. I think we're good. Can you still hear me?
Loud and clear. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, just can't see it, and I think it's on my end. I don't know. I think we're good. Are you looking at the YouTube broadcast? And
I
you can
am,
see
but it's
yourself?
like there's like a 5 or 6 second delay.
But you can see yourself, right?
Yeah, but I think I'm frozen in time.
Yeah, you are frozen.
All right, I guess.
Live broadcast, people. 20 minutes in and we haven't been able to talk about anything yet. Oh, this was
Uh,
in the history books.
we can share, correct? I can still share. So maybe we can just
Try.
kind of. What'd you say?
I said you can try. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Yep. I see. Let me see if I can add it. Here we go. We got Dusty Baker up.
Fantastic.
So we got Dusty Baker up, and we were talking about Dusty Baker won his 2000th game as a manager just last night. Shout out to him. One of the best, but still has not won a World Series as a manager. Correct.
Correct.
Dusty Baker's career. How do you define Dusty Baker's career? Just you as a fan of the game.
I mean, he's one of those rare breeds that was a great player as well as a great manager. There's not too many players. Like you had like great managers like Tommy Lasorda, Tony Varusa, but they weren't really great major leaguers. But I mean, he was an all-star. He was an ultimate Philly killer, especially in the 70s and the 80s. But to see that translate from him being, an all-star outfielder and world champion to, you know, a competent and credible and successful manager. And I think what not only did he get his 2000th win, but he's also the first African American manager to get 2000 wins ever. So I think that's
Yes, I believe you're right. He is the first African American manager to get to 2,000 wins. Interestingly enough, you don't hear about a lot of African American. Excuse me, sorry. I was trying to hold that back so bad. You don't hear a lot about African American baseball managers.
nope.
I know I can think of some, but right now, just on the spot, I can only think about him. Give me a couple names that I know. Was Hank Aaron ever a manager?
Never.
Frank
Frank
was.
Frank Robinson. He was the first. He was the first black manager in the American League and the National League. Because he was the first. He was the first black manager in baseball. Period. He was a player / coach in Cleveland in like the mid 70s, and then he was the first black manager for the San Francisco Giants in the early to mid 80s.
Talking about Frank Robinson there, not Dusty Baker.
Right. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Right. No problem. Just for those that might just joined in, just so you know, because we have the picture of Dusty Baker up because he won his 2000th game last night as a manager. But not a lot of African American managers throughout the game of baseball at the major league level. Frank Robinson comes to mind. I'm trying to think. I know I'm like having a complete brain fart right
Well,
now.
one of my favorites is Ron Washington.
On Washington, yeah.
And I always loved him because if you ever look up Ron Washington and him coaching, because he's an infield coach. He's actually a coach on the Atlanta Braves.
Yes, he
And I was hoping that the Phillies would get him, just for the fact of how successful he was with the Texas Rangers. And people forget he was a defensive coach, infield coach for the Oakland A's in the mid 2000s, and he was almost directly responsible for the Gold Gloves of Miguel Tejada and Eric Chavez, which was the best was that left side of the infield in baseball at that time. And I think they even bequeathed their Gold Gloves to him to pay homage to him.
Wow.
You also have Don Baylor was also a fairly successful manager in the big league. So there are a couple out there.
Don Baylor was the first Rockies manager, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right about that?
Yes,
First
he
Rockies
was.
manager when they came in as a expansion team back in the 90s. Funny story about that. So I don't know. I was a kid, so I was very gullible anyway. But somebody told me that they were going to be like a all black baseball team.
Yeah,
And
you were going.
Baylor coach, and I was like, wow, this must be real. I guess they're going to have.
You didn't go out and get like jerseys and stuff, did you?
No, I didn't.
Good.
I didn't know. Wait a minute, hold on, because I did. There was a time. I'm going to go ahead and take this picture of Dusty Baker out. There was a time when I would always somehow end up with paraphernalia of an expansion team. I want to say I had a Carolina Panthers jacket. I had a Florida Marlins hat.
I bought the teal John, the original teal. Yeah, I did buy that one.
I don't remember having anything from the Rockies though. I don't remember having anything from the Rockies, but I can remember I think I had a Jacksonville Jaguars hat when they came to the league. Anyway, I'm just going down memory lane. Sorry, going down memory lane a little bit, but we are just talking about Dusty Baker winning his 2000th game as a manager, first African American manager to do so. I find that amazing. Well, somebody had to be the first, but I found it amazing that he was the first to do it. And the list when they put the list on TV, I believe Tony La Russa is the only one that's still coaching that's on that list. Him, Dusty Baker, and Tony La Russa,
who are ultimate rivals, and I think it's absolutely funny because they're both they remind me of like grumpy old men.
Yeah,
and they just flat out like curse at each other and whatnot. One other interesting stat about Dusty Baker is that he is the only manager in the history of the game to take 5 different teams to the postseason.
Really? Cubs, Giants, Astros, Reds, and Senators. Wow, where I get that from?
Nationals, right? You went way back.
I'm surprised that I was able to pull that out of that hat.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that. I do have a little baseball knowledge. I know some things. I paid attention in the 90s.
I know you did.
He was what's the name's manager? He was Barry Bonds' manager in San Francisco.
Yeah, the year they were I think 5 or 6 outs away from winning their first World Series in decades.
Oh, was he the manager that year?
He was the manager that year when they went to the Giants and Angels went to the Game 7.
Was the manager when they did win the World Series.
Yeah, Bochy was there for the 3 World Series championships.
Right. So congratulations to Dusty Baker from everybody here at the Check Swing Podcast and New Twist Radio. Proud of you. Keep doing your thing. Keep getting your wins, except for when you play against the Phillies. Appreciate it.
And he got his 500th win in June of 1999 against your Philadelphia Phillies. So that's enough beating up on the Phillies.
Yeah, you didn't have to add that. You didn't have to do that, Miguel. If you're joining us here and you're wondering what's going on, we had some technical difficulties for at least the first 20 minutes of the broadcast, but it's all good. The show must go on. And we have a milestone moment here in minor league baseball, professional baseball. Miguel, I got the picture up. Why don't you take us into this story?
All right, so the person that you see on the screen is one Rachel Balkovec. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But in April, to open up the season, she became the first woman to manage in an MLB affiliated team. So this is the I got to make sure I say the name right because I mess it up every time. But it's I am so sorry. They're called they're the Tampa Tarpons. Tampa Tarpons. Right. So she became the first female to manage at the MLB level, or MLB affiliate level. So basically, the first professional female coach in the history of the game. She did win her opener, by the way, which was, which is good. She originally came from LSU. She was a strength and conditioning coach there, and then worked her way up through the ranks. The MLB affiliate is the New York Yankees, I believe, single or double A affiliate in their farm system. So congratulations to Miss Rachel Balkovec.
Congratulations to you, Rachel Balkovec, on the milestone moments that you're creating this year. You are moving the needle forward in professional sports, and we've seen it in basketball. We're seeing it in baseball now. We're also seeing it in football, where we're seeing more and more women coaching in football. I don't know if hockey's on board yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they are. And shout out to all them. They're doing their thing.
And I think too, like I'm having that in the back of my head too. Like, I think I'd like to, try to recruit a female onto the coaching staff at some point.
That'd be awesome.
Just because I mean it's time, you know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking about there's not a great difference between softball and baseball other than the size of the ball and how it's pitched to the plate, but everything else fundamentally is the same, You teach ground balls.
Did you know that baseball and softball at the high school level, and I don't know what other level possibly, but at the high school level are not considered equivalent? Meaning, so in high school, boys and girls basketball is equivalent. Boys and what other sports are there that they both play? Boys and girls track, equivalent sports. Boys and girls lacrosse, equivalent sports. And what I'm saying is, if there is not an equivalent sport that you would want to play in high school, you are supposed to be able to play for the let's say we've seen where guys at the high school where we coach, there's not a guys lacrosse team. We've seen guys play on the girls team.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Baseball and softball are not equivalent. So if a girl wanted to play softball, if a girl wanted to play baseball, softball is not equivalent. So they can play baseball. Or I guess if a guy wanted to play softball, he could play softball. They're not equivalent sports. So shout out to Rachel Balkovec, and shout out to the Tampa Tarpons and they and their history making moments that they're making down in the minor league baseball arena. Now, are we gonna go about talking about this MLB scoring drought? Is that where you want to go next?
We can if
where do you want to go? Because I see you put something up there, and I know there's a different type of broadcast that we're on a different level today, so it's a little bit different.
We can talk about the drought because it kind of pinpoints a couple of it's kind of trending towards things that we've been kind of talking about that's been built up over the past season or two.
So should I go ahead and put this picture up you got up there?
Sure.
There you go. It's up. As you see Bryce Harper taking the swing and his helmet falling off, and you see some sucker from the New York Mets breaking the bat over his knee. What are we looking at, Miguel?
So this is just kind of emulating what has been going on over the course of the last maybe season or two. There was a report that I was looking at that was talking about the scoring drought in Major League Baseball, and it kind of pointed to the fact that league-wide batting average is 231, which is the lowest through April in the history of Major League Baseball.
It's good to know it's not just the Phillies.
Right. The league wide OPS is at 675, which is the lowest since 1968, which happens to be considered the year of the pitcher. Offenses are scoring the fewest runs per game in 4 decades, posting the worst OPS in more than 50 years, and hitting for the lowest batting average ever 1 month into a season. And that's not even including the fact that the universal DH was just added this year.
You would almost think scoring would be going up.
You would think so. You would think so. The last 4 seasons account for each of the 4 lowest individual April league-wide marks in the past 40 full seasons, as we kind of noted. One thing they were in this article that I was reading, they were talking about, and I think this has been the first time we heard it, I want to say was right around the strike shortened year or the or right when we came back, how the baseballs were juiced. Remember how that whole campaign kind of, went about.
Yes.
They're saying that the baseballs have a new design to them, which they actually did a study. I think the baseballs are made by Rawlings, that they wanted to do something between the seams, either loosen them just a bit, so that way when it goes, the article kind of goes into that hitters are actually hitting the ball harder, but it's not traveling as farther. So it's not that they're not hitting the ball hard enough; it's that the ball is doing something aerodynamically because of the way they stitch them or loosen them, or the way they tighten them, that the balls are actually traveling almost 2 to 3 full feet less, if that makes sense. So,
So, and what are we attributing that to?
the design of the baseball, which this came up, I think, a couple years ago. I think it was like maybe 2019. It was before the pandemic. And I think everybody was concerned about Aaron Nola, right? Because Aaron Nola has this habit of going 5 scoreless and then giving up like 3-run home runs, right? But he was saying that particular season, and I think most of the starters were actually complaining about this, that they couldn't get a good grip and a good spin on their curveball. So the curveballs were like, they weren't breaking sharply. It was more like they were more like sliding versus curving.
Okay.
And there was this nationwide or this league wide complaint. And I believe sometime after the All-Star break, people noticed, quote unquote, a change. And I think All Stars like Donaldson, who plays on the Yankees now, there was a couple of players that were like, the baseball's different. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden now, they couldn't hit as well as they did in the beginning of the season. So I think that was kind of Major League Baseball testing mid-season these different types of baseballs, or the way the baseballs are created.
So in the
But
middle of season last year, you're telling me that they went and just changed all the baseballs as a test?
it's been done throughout history, like, so that I made that comment about what was it, that the OPS was the lowest since 1968, which was the year of the pitcher. What they did that season was they actually lowered the pitcher's mound. No, I take that back. I reversed it. They raised the pitcher's mound, I think like 3 inches or whatever, and they expanded the strike zone. So naturally, I think the ERA average went down almost a half to almost a full run. So it's like baseball always does this tinkering every so often to try to level the playing field, or if it sways too much. Because I believe 2019 it was the most home runs hit in the history of baseball.
Really?
So it's like, all right, is there too much offense? But here's the thing, and the article kind of goes into this, maybe what baseball wants, because now that you have fewer home runs and fewer runs scored per game, it'll kind of force the players to go back and actually learn how to freaking hit. And instead of trying for the home run and trying to hit the launch angle from the swing and not from the point of contact, now they'll actually say, oh, you know what? We got runners at first and second. Let me try to move these runners over instead of trying to hit the 3-run home run. You know what I mean? Because we preach this, I love how we kind of do things, not to say that it's not done where you're at, but where I'm coaching it down here, there seems to be a philosophy with our 14U team that focuses on always having a productive at bat. Whereas like in Major League Baseball, you don't really see that. Like it's like the approach is I'm gonna swing yard and I'm not gonna shorten my swing until 2 strikes, but even then I'm still trying to swing daddy hack. You know what I mean? But it's like we tried to hit and run two or three times in our game last night. We successfully sacrificed bunt twice. You know what I mean? And then proceeded to get we had like 2 or 3 RBI ground outs, which you don't see much anymore. But I
Right.
think, and I'm hoping that the game starts to go in a direction where you start to see, the CNI single, the hit and run, a runner going from first to third on a hit to right field, the triple,
Precise skill of the hitter.
right?
Mhm.
Again, who was it? I think it was George Brett who was saying if they had the shift in 1980 when he batted 390, he said I would have batted 650.
The other way.
Just hit the other way.
Right.
And again, I think I think this will finally eliminate the stupid, and yes, I said stupid, Joey Gallows of the world, who itch and complain about how there's too many people on one side of the field, and I'm not man enough to try to hit it the opposite way. So
I can't believe they changed that rule. Like, if you want to trigger me, start talking about that rule.
well, here's the thing, and it's not official yet because again they put it on the table in the collective bargaining agreement. And the Players Association just said, okay, if you're going to change it, you have to give us, I think, 45 days for it to be an official rule change. So nothing has been done yet, but they have to give the union 45 days notice before they can implement that rule. So it's still kind of it's in limbo.
Going into effect next season, though, right?
Right. It would affect next season.
Okay.
But I think it's in limbo, and I'm hoping that it stays in limbo because of what's going on now with the lack of offensive production. Because my thing is, if you can go against the shift, or you can make the shift illegal all you want. I mean, you still got to hit. You know what I mean? And I still think you'll be able to shift in a way for like the Joey Gallows of the world. All right, he's going to try to hit it over the right field fence. He's going to try to pull every single time. So I don't think it's going to make a difference for him, to be quite honest.
Man, if you're a professional baseball player and you're mad about teams shifting on you, you bought that on yourself and you became a one-trick pony. Don't be a one.
Did you say he became a woman? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
No, I said he became a one-trick pony. If they're going to shift on you all the time, that means they have no fear of you trying to hit the ball the other way, which tells me that you just really are trying to hit home runs all the time, which can also be that you are only thinking about yourself all the time.
It reminds me of that video that I think you showed me a couple times of the dad throwing batting practice to his son, and he's standing like 2 feet in front. He's just standing there like this, just throwing balls, and he missed every single one of them. But it was still just the fact that you have no faith that you might as well just like call the infield in and just say, just point to right field. You know what I mean? And try to hit it. And I guarantee he's still going to strike out.
Yeah. I mean, That is what it is. It is what it. Like I said, you want to trigger me? Start talking about that. Them eliminating the shift in baseball. That's like that would be like eliminating the double team in basketball.
Now, what is it in basketball? Didn't they eliminate like the zone defense?
No, they
Or
actually in the pro game around the
back,
time Allen Iverson started to become a star, they added the zone
that's
defense
right. That's right.
in the NBA game. They didn't have zone in the NBA until they wanted to slow down Allen Iverson. Let's just put it
Got
that
it.
way. Called Allen Iverson rule amendment. Um, so here we go. I'm putting this next video up here. You make the call. Lead us into this, Miguel.
All right. So I'm telling my age or our age, but growing up, there was during like the game of the week, like on Saturday baseball or whatever, there was always this segment where they would do, "Hey, you make the call." And they would, play an incident that would happen in the game, and you had to say, okay, well, what was he safe? Was he out? Was it fair or foul? But I'm kind of piggybacking off of what we were talking about with Angel Hernandez and really bad umpires. So this isn't picking on bad umpires, but I was just thinking, well, maybe we can explain when there's a specific call on the field. So in this incident, um, Jazz Chisholm from the Miami Marlins hits a ball down the line, right? Now, the umpire, as you see that right there, he actually signaled fair ball, but he signaled it incorrectly.
Yes, I see that.
So he was there was a lot of confusion because the way you're supposed to signal fair ball is you're supposed to signal fair pointing in towards the field, and he got turned around and just signaled it incorrectly going the opposite direction, so everybody thought he called a foul ball. Now normally the signal for foul is this, and the umpire will say foul ball, but he didn't. And you'll
Unfortunately, still can't see you, but
oh, I'm sorry.
so basically, he said the signal for foul ball is usually putting your hands up in the air. I'm holding on to the mic, but you put your hands up in the air, basically almost telling everybody stop. It was a foul ball.
Right. But as you see here, he's turned around. He actually so during this broadcast, the announcers are kind of confused. Well, the announcers actually said, "Well, he called it a foul ball," but okay, again, that's based on the fact that he's pointing in the affirmative in the wrong direction. So it looks like he is calling the foul ball, but he's calling fair just incorrectly.
Yeah, and with the speed of Jazz Chisholm, he's probably getting two on that.
Right.
Had it called correctly.
Right. So the rule actually states, and this is an actual rule, it says if the umpires consult after a play and change a call that had been made, then they have the authority to take all steps that they may deem necessary in their discretion to eliminate the results and consequences of the earlier call that they are reversing. So including placing runners where they think those runners would have been after the play had the ultimate call been made as the initial call, if that makes sense. And that's
Now
kind of like explain.
and that can get a little hairy there.
It can because again, like you said, Jazz Chisholm, and for those that don't know who Jazz Chisholm is, very fast, very athletic base runner. That play right there is at least a double, right? And I do like this. I do like this rule this year where the umpires actually have to announce the call, which I think is
I
pretty
didn't know
cool.
that. I didn't realize that was a rule this year.
Yeah, so they so the umpire you saw there was actually saying the play is under review, and then he announced that this indeed is a double. So now of course the manager from the opposing team, is upset because he says he clearly called foul, whatever. So now the rule states that the manager does have the right to come out and ask for an explanation of what the call was. So that's going by the book right now. And in most situations, how you hear that situation. Well, he should be kicked out of the game, whatever. But the umpires are giving him the opportunity to vent, and they actually go back and review because he believes that the initial call was a foul ball, so he had them actually review the play.
which was the right thing to do.
Right.
And he's
So-
probably, I mean, he's arguing that, of course, he called it a foul, but he's probably arguing more so on the fact that now it's a double.
Right.
But really, he has nothing to argue.
Right, because it's based on the judgment of the umpire saying, okay, well, had the original call, which was a mistake, been made, because it caused everybody to stop mid-play, basically. So it's the judgment of the umpire. I was like, all right, well, had the call been made correctly initially, he would have been on second base, no doubt.
Now, I wonder if, like, I guess they're basing it off of the skill set of the runner too. Because let's say it was, I don't know, Mark McGuire. Okay,
Yeah.
would they have said it was a double if it was Mark McGuire?
No, they probably call him out. That's how slow he was.
So they also got to take the consideration of the skill set.
Correct, and also the other runners, because there was actually one other runner in front of him. So,
well, it was bases loaded. It looked like.
Well, there were several runners on base, but basically, the way the call was, the runner that was on first winds up on third, and then Jazz Chisholm winds up on so it winds up being runners at second and third. So here's the play again down the line. The initial call again, the umpire did clarify. I called it a fair ball. I just called it signal wise incorrectly. So that's what that final call was.
Question for you, old wise one. I didn't mean to call you old. I actually didn't say old. I said OL. Could it be argued that knowing what the foul call is, putting their hands up, and what the fair call is, pointing, and which is usually pointing in the direction of fair territory, in this case it was not, could it be argued that he should have continued playing because he did not call the ball foul?
It could have been. So here's the thing. If you think about it, had he kept going, and he actually probably would have wound up on third base.
He might have.
And then there still would have been the argument, oh, well, you called it foul. But the umpire from the beginning actually said, I called it fair. That's why when you look at the video again, Jazz is like, that's a fair ball. And the umpire is like, yeah, fair ball. You know what I mean? And he's yelling at the umpire saying, it's a fair ball. He said it's a fair ball. So again, it's the issue of umpire got turned around and mistakenly pointed in the wrong direction. That's ultimately the bottom line in all of it.
Let me give you this scenario, Miguel. A scenario that happened in a game this season of the high school team that I coach. I may even told you about this one already.
Uh-oh.
Kid is up to bat. He got 3 strikes on him. Umpire doesn't punch him out, and he stays up to bat. And umpire continues to play, continues the game. He then gets another strike on him, which then umpire calls strike 3, punches him out. Now, the opposing team thinks that's 3 outs when it's only 2. And now the next batter already has a strike on him. Is that the right call? Because if it's not, I'm going back and I'm cussing somebody. No, I'm not going to cuss somebody out. But is that the right call? Do you think that was the right move right there?
Wait. So explain this again. So
very difficult when you're dealing with some umpires that are just not the greatest. So kid is up to bat. And he ends up getting 3. His third strike is a swinging strike 3. Or right. No, it might not. No, it might not have been a swinging strike. It was strike 3 looking. Umpire calls strike.
Okay, hold on.
He's out.
Hold on. How many outs are there during this? There's 1 out. Okay.
1 out during this at bat. There's 1 out.
Okay.
He gets strike 3 on him looking. Okay. Umpire doesn't give the strike 3, that doesn't punch him out or anything like that. He just calls it a strike. Kid stays up there. The next pitch, he swings and misses. Umpire says strike 3. Opposing team then starts to run off of the field. Because now once he originally struck out, now it's 2 outs. And then when they call it strike 3 on the kid, now they're thinking that's out number 3, and now he's out. What's the right call in that? I should say you make the call. What happens? I keep looking here to you being on screen. I should be looking at the camera. What should be the call?
I think all of you need to go to sleep and take a nap because first off, it's 2 outs.
It's 2 outs once he strikes out.
Right, but for everybody to run off the field, that's just everybody not knowing how many outs there are. So there's no call there per se.
Well, you're right, but put yourself in these shoes. You know when this kid struck out on the actual third strike, you know it's 2 outs.
Right, hold up. But you said when he struck out, before he struck out, it was 1 out. So if he strikes out, then that means
Before
it's 2
he
outs.
steps into the batter's box, it's 1 out.
Right. So when the at bat is over, umpire he's swinging strike 3. That's 2 outs.
Hold up. Hear me out. I think you're missing something. He steps up to the batter's box, it's 1 out. He gets 1 strike on him, 2 strikes on him. He looks at strike 3. That's
Right.
3 strikes on him. Now it should be 2 outs, or now it's 2 outs.
Okay.
Right? But the umpire didn't say strike 3. He didn't punch him out or anything like that. Mind you, it was strike 3 looking. You know, when strike 3 looking, you get punched out. Another strike comes. Now that's basically strike 4.
Right.
Which now he gets punched out.
Right. So that's 2 outs.
Right, but it was 2 outs when it was strike 3, technically. When it was
Oh, I see. Okay.
So now he gets punched out on strike 4, and now everybody's looking at it as 3 outs. So they did know how many outs there were, but now when you punch the kid out on strike 4, now you're thinking 3 outs and you're running off the field.
No.
So
Worst case scenario, the person who's keeping score for the home team should have caught it and said, okay, wait a minute, that was strike 3. And normally what an umpire would do, or the umpires would come together and say, okay, the previous pitch was strike 3. It would have just been an extra pitch, but the next batter needs to come up and it's 2 outs.
and not strike 1 on him?
No.
The strike on him?
No,
Because
because
onus on to get out of get out of, is it onus on the umpire to let the batter know that's an out, you're out?
it is. That's why it is
Definitely.
the onus on the umpire, because he has the clicker, and you have the other umpire who could be the crew chief who's following along too. It's just like when we every time when every at bat you always ask what's the count, and the umpire will say, or you'll say 2-1, and then another pitch will come, and then it's like 3-1, and then like, wait a minute, no, we have to go back. It's actually 2-2. So you're just kind of replaying it, if you will. You're not actually throwing another pitch, if that makes sense.
Okay, so let me tell you what happened. So basically, that whole scenario happened, and then once we came to the agreement that, okay, whatever was strike 3 and he didn't leave, you didn't punch him out. Now the next batter comes up, and he already has a strike on him, which was the previous batter's strike 4.
So that was the final decision, was that the next batter comes up and it's strike 1.
Correct. That was the
Gotcha.
final decision.
Okay.
But was it the right decision? You make the call.
I'd lean towards it being the right decision, but I probably do it with protest. I would protest against myself.
Gotcha. You stumping me today? I know we've had these technical difficulties all day. Still haven't seen you since we started the show.
I promise you, I'm here. All right. Yeah, I got a stumper. Let's see if this will work.
What sport is it coming from?
Huh?
What sport is it coming from?
It comes from the sport of a football.
Ooh, this is the first football one.
In honor of the pretty solid draft the Philadelphia Eagles had, especially with that trade for AJ Brown.
Yes, the Eagles had a pretty good draft. Absolutely. Absolutely. What you got for me?
All right, here we go.
One-time Super Bowl champ, one-time All-Pro, one-time Pro Bowl. Played for the Skins, the Jets, and the Broncos, or is that the Giants?
Oh my goodness, the Skins. Excuse me. They are now called the Washington Football Team.
The Commanders.
The command the he played for the Commodores, the Eagles, and the New York Giants, the New York Football Giants.
Yo, that's crazy. He played for all those teams. He never left the NFC East, huh?
Never left the NFC East, but refused to play for the Cowboys, so you got to give him some respect.
I was about to be completely wrong. So it has to be somebody recent because, well, no, it doesn't have to be somebody recent. No, it doesn't. I was already assuming that he won the Super Bowl with the Eagles, but no. I was going to say Harold Carmichael because you said he refused to play for the Cowboys.
Well, actually, but here's the thing, Carmichael, and people don't know this
for Washington or New York.
So, but Carmichael actually did play for the Cowboys.
But like retired during the season or something, right?
Correct. He played like 2 games, and he said he felt less than human, and then had to retire.
So we're looking at a running back here.
Yes. So here's maybe a stumper. He's a running back, but he also played quarterback for 1 game.
Brian Mitchell.
I shouldn't have gave you that clue. I knew you would get that.
Well, you know what? The number I completely forgot what Brian Mitchell's number was, and I completely forgot that Brian Mitchell played for the Giants. Mm-hmm. But I did know he was the emergency quarterback for Washington. Mm-hmm. That I did know.
Do you remember the game?
The body bag game, right? No, that was against the
No.
Cowboys.
Body bag game was him at quarterback. So in that game, they lost Mark Rippon, Jay Schrader, 2 offensive guards, and actually, I think 1 or 2 running backs. Like broken ribs. Somebody tore a knee. It was just a massacre, and the Eagles blew them out. But here's the thing about Eagles history, which is kind of frustrating. We have the body bag game. We have, the Bounty Bowl. We have the Thanksgiving Day Massacre. Like, we have all these great games. But that year of the body bag game, the Commodores came in the NFC wildcard game.
You called the Washington Football Team better than the Commanders, but go ahead.
Yeah, it does have a better sound to it. Washington came to Philadelphia and beat them in the playoffs that year in the first round. So it's always kind of bittersweet. Like, even when the Eagles did beat the Cowboys and, 4th down twice, they lost them in the playoffs. You know what I mean? So it's like we've always had these great games in the history, but of course, the greatest game now is the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. So we kind of finally overcame that hump. But all those great games, and the season's always kind of fizzled out,
Interesting. That's a good one. That was a good one. The quarterback clue definitely gave it away for sure.
I should have kept my mouth shut.
That's all right. I needed it. There is one thing I did want to say to you. Like I know I always mess with you because you say that you don't like the NBA anymore because it's soft, right?
Not anymore. I might actually watch it.
Yeah. Did you see this weekend's games? You see what
I,
the happenings last night and over the weekend?
I saw one or two of them.
So last night, Draymond Green uh, had to get some stitches in his face because of an elbow he took. There
Embiid got an elbow to the eye.
and he took an elbow to the eye, and B took an elbow to the orbital bone, cracked skull, basically cracked orbital bone. Also in the same game, that Warriors Grizzlies game, 2 minutes, almost 3 minutes into the game, somebody got ejected for a flagrant foul that broke somebody's arm. So you might at least want to watch the Warriors and Grizzlies series because it looks like it's going to be pretty physical.
Yeah, I think I might. Although I'm glad. I'm sorry, but when you said the dude that broke his arm, not to get all serious, but did you see the attack on Dave Chappelle?
Yeah, kind of. I heard about it more so than I saw the. I briefly, just as we were working through our technical issues, when I was pulling websites up, I saw, I guess the after effects of the attack on Dave Chappelle, where Chris Rock grabbed the mic and said what he said. But I didn't see the actual tackle attempt.
So what's funny is that this dude got stomped by Jamie Foxx, Buster Rhymes, security, and Dave Chappelle made it. Dave Chappelle. If you watch the video, Dave Chappelle was real smooth about it. He's like, they're beating this dude up in the back of the stage. He's like, wait a minute, let me run. I want to see if he wants to make a statement.
Medium for you.
But there's an image of this dude. Let me see if I can find it. This dude got his butt beat so bad that his arm, they show him on a stretcher, his arm is inverted.
Yeah, I saw that.
You saw that? Okay, I just wanted to make sure you saw it. Because I thought, for a minute, I thought he looks like in the picture, like he's in between like pop locking and stuff. I'm like, is he double jointed? I'm like, no, that's his elbow inside out.
Yeah, that was. When you talk about a butt whooping, that man got a butt whooping. He earned every inch of that butt whooping he got last night.
Yeah, it was scary though. I mean, he was carrying a gun and a knife, and
so they said the gun was a replica gun, maybe a BB gun or something, but a gun is a gun, right? Unless it's a fake gun. Let me not get into that. But the knife thing, they didn't say the knife was fake. Like, what was he planning to do? What was he planning to do to Dave Chappelle? When I first saw that, when I first heard about it, I should say. Of course, I think I probably thought what a lot of people probably thought. I said, "Wow, that must be somebody from the trans community."
Yeah.
Because of the his jokes he made in that special, and there was so much blowback over it. So I just kind of assumed that it was somebody from that community. I don't know if he was or not,
but you heard Chappelle made a comment about that, right?
No, what did he say?
So he's like, I think it was a trans man. That's exactly what he said. But I mean, it's the running joke, right?
Right, absolutely.
And then Jamie Foxx comes out and he's like, Dave Chappelle was like, Jamie Foxx always got your back. The stuff's about to get real because he comes out in a sheriff's hat, and he was wearing a sheriff's hat, which was funny.
That's funny. That's good stuff right there. That's good stuff right there. Well, I guess we got time for us to get up out of here, Miguel. Technical difficulties and all, we got through it. We made it happen. We made it work.
Am I still frozen?
You are still blank and frozen. Actually, you're blank on my screen, but on YouTube, you're frozen.
Let me see.
Yep, you're still frozen on YouTube. And you're blank on my screen. So, yeah. We just had your voice the whole time. It's all good.
Fantastic.
Radio's podcast. You don't have to see you anywhere on a podcast. It's all good. But All that being said, we appreciate y'all for hanging out with us this crazy hour of the Check Swing podcast. Make sure you join us next week as we get into more of the sports and the stuff that you love, and hopefully without all of the technical difficulties that we all hate. But anyway, with all that being said, we're gonna talk to y'all next week. We appreciate y'all loving us. We love y'all for loving us, and we'll talk to y'all next time. Peace.